JaYoe Nation is being supported by Communist China. How do we know this? Well, of course he's being directly shared by CGTN, which of course is a media outlet owned and controlled by the Chinese Communist government. Here you can see them sharing and promoting his video directly on an official media Weibo account, which is of course the Chinese version of Twitter. What you can see is, of course, typical of these pro-communist YouTubers now, and that's what they are. They choose to label themselves as pro-China, but really it's pro-communism. If you look at the video, of course, they've translated everything into Chinese. They've, of course, put the official CGTN logo on the top left of the video. The interesting thing to me in this video is how he sort of speaks for China. And what I mean by that is, on my channel, everything is based upon my opinion, right? And when something is factual, I will of course show evidence, be it a study or an article based upon a study or videos and pictures. JaYoe is making the mistake of speaking for China. This is very typical of Chinese state-run media, to find foreigners, to say nice things about China, to keep people in China being positive. He, of course, is saying what he is told to say, be it directly or indirectly.
Launch of a disease which has an uncertain outcome is counter to the idea of having a stable and well-oiled machine.
If you noticed in this video, he says things like, China has been a stable and well-oiled machine. How does he know this? Because there have been many studies that show China lies about its GDP growth. It is very well known a large percent of China is based upon real estate, and that the real estate is way over leveraged. There are even videos of people like ADV China showing how homes that look brand new or should look brand new are practically crumbling on top of themselves after just a few years.
China doesn't have the motivation or potential windfall on the other side of this.
China doesn't have the motivation or potential on the other side of this, JaYoe says. Well, again, how do you know? How are you so sure that China doesn't have the motivation? Again, JaYoe is being fed words. It is insanely obvious that he is parroting the continued agenda of the CCP. This is called propaganda.
Countries that are building projects with cooperation from China might be scuttled because of this.
Countries that are building projects with cooperation with China might be scuttled.
Countries that might have had a good relationship with China now might not be.
You mean like the countries in Africa where they've continued to use up all the resources in those countries? Or how about that country where they forcefully took the port after people rioted?
Like Australia, like countries in Europe, like America. China wouldn't welcome that for anything.
Do you think countries should be upset? I think they should. Shouldn't China be held accountable for its actions?
China doesn't win in those situations, and so I don't even think this is a evil plot gone wrong. It just literally is not the way that China works.
It would have a better relationship with countries like Australia, America, and countries in Europe had it not lied about the coronavirus for so long, then lying about the human-to-human transmission. The world is very aware that accidents happen and that it is possible a disease could spread. People aren't angry about the disease. People are angry because of the circumstances surrounding why it spread, which is the Chinese government is in complete denial about, of course, and refuses to even admit that it comes from China. Even a Chinese government official blamed it on the US military. China wouldn't welcome that. It is just literally not how it works in China. It's not the way, he says. No, it is how the communist government works. They have a history of stealing viruses. China has a major neglect issue with things that should be watched carefully. Have people forgotten about the vaccine scandals, the baby milk scandals? You had better believe that poor quality control extends to medical labs and wet markets. It is imperative that China take responsibility for the Wuhan virus and stop denying. It is also imperative that these pro-communist people that are being supported by CGTN, be it JaYoe and Barrett and Daniel Dumbrill and Nathan Rich, all of these people that have, of course, been on CGTN. Again, a state run, owned and operated by the Chinese Communist Party. They have been on there. Again, they are looking for foreigners that are naive, that are stupid, or that are willing to take the handout of viewership or money. And now JaYoe, of course, has done the same. This means that JaYoe is a traitor and un-American, and his passport to America should be revoked. Prime in China, like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.
We all know that the Western media will tell negative stories about China. Countries and international organizations don't praise China. They pander to the increasing global influence. Chinese media doesn't report news. It reports propaganda. This is the biggest one. China doesn't treat patients. It rounds them up. China doesn't enforce quarantines. It enforces lockdowns. Yes, I've heard that a number of times. Chinese people are not patriotic. They're brainwashed. These words that they use to manipulate the news in the Western world. But they're not just manipulating the news, they're manipulating you and me.
抖音